Peace in the name of Allah. I'm Aubrey Muhammad. I pray that everyone is well. Hempstead family, friends, and believers, welcome to my Facebook Live session. Black America, stop hitting the snooze button on our wake-up calls. Part 2. Last week was part 1. And I'm a little late today. Was it 6:10 or 10 minutes late? So, excuse me, I'm fasting. 48-hour fast, so I'm gonna drink that water. And all praise due to Allah. A beautiful breeze came by. Over here back at Eisenhower Park. And I don't know what this section is called. I was here before though. It has an angel up there. A model of an angel up there, some memorial. There's children playing around good. No concert today in the amphitheater. Had a few concerts. But the updates is August 3rd, Wednesday, Village Hall. We had the meeting out in Denton Green Park. And the board was discussing the committee that they're putting together on the parameters of the committee to decide if Hempstead should be a city. And it was all fixed. You plan on knowing good and well you wanted to be a city. You already got the manifest written out. The developers have already written it out because they don't plan for us to be in here. And they had an outdoor meeting. It was an awesome attendance. A lot of people came out. A lot of people, you heard the word, you came out. We got you out there, you got involved to hear what they're going through in the village of Hempstead. It's sad, family. So this supposed meeting was to discuss, and it's just sad. And it manifests exactly what their spirit, what the intent is. It manifests. They said, let's have this discussion. The public can speak about the parameters of what the committee should be. Some committee members would be on this committee, 15 members, something like that, what the parameters will be, and you have an input on that. And I wasn't even going to speak on that. I was waiting for the regular board meeting afterwards, and it lasted a good while. There was a few good speakers pointing out how we don't trust them. Randy Stick, shout out, brother. Peace and love. You said it. We cannot trust them, not one iota. You can't trust them. So you put that down, right? And there were a few other speakers. And in these speakers, they all questioned, how is this set up, you know? And Jeffrey Daniels basically gave a pro-con about a city. He gave a pro-view expression. He made a statement that they were discussing, and he just went on these annotations. Oh, it should be a city because we have the examples of Long Beach, and I think it's Glen Cove, something like that. Then who else came? Then Allah Supreme Mathematics. He dedicated his whole 3 minutes. We were given like 3 minutes, and he let some people speak more. And Allah Supreme Mathematics gave a pro. It was ridiculous, brother. You are ridiculous. That statement you made. We should be a city because it's a failed suburb. And you're not giving the pretext and the context of why this village has been devitalized for over 15 years. And that enabled all by the board. It's all by design, brother. Hempstead, Black Hempstead, been devitalized over 15 years directly, paying somebody else taxes that have devitalized it. You don't have services, increase in crime, you're losing your homes, you get displaced, loss of businesses, all on purpose. You take your property for developers to swipe up easily without resistance to build a city, a yuppie college city that Tom Swazi bragged about. So Allah Supreme Mathematics gave this 3 minute you ridiculous, brother, with that statement. That was ridiculous. He gave it 3 minute, turning around, yeah, selling a point. So I wasn't even going to speak until I heard them. They made those 2 strong points that were pro-city. So I went up to speak, and then right before I spoke, who comes? Waylon Hobbs says, look, y'all, let's stick to the subject at hand. We're getting a little what do you call that, off course here, off subject. And then the village lawyer, she says, look, y'all, let's keep this meeting within the scope of the question we letting y'all comment on, or the committee, the parameters of this commission, committee they have it to decide the city that they always sneaky planning they want to do anyway. When I get to speak, so they censored me. You're gonna go into your hat of tricks and pull out, let's keep it on the subject. But when I spoke, you're gonna silence me and say, wait till the regular board meeting, you can make a discussion, but you let Allah, Supreme Mathematics, give a full 3 minutes statement pro-city, denouncing us who don't want to go along with the city as unprogressive or unindustrious, when in fact it's the village board that have enabled the devitalization of Hempstead for over a decade. And then Jeffrey Daniels, he just went off in these annotations about how it should be a city. So I was going to counter those 2 statements, and I got censored. That's the spirit of this point. That's exactly what's going on. So during my statement, I said that we can't trust, and I was right. It's a level of trust. We cannot trust you. And you just proved it at that meeting at Denton Green Park, a really stagnant park that should have way more activities and programs going there than it is, instead of these goddamn ceremonies. You the kings of ceremonies. That's all y'all do, this board. Ceremonial stuff for Black Hempstead, for residents. All we get is ceremonies and parades and celebrations and stuff. Nothing industrious. No tangibles. There's no agenda to change our condition that has been engineered by your masters and handlers. So then I got on, then I segued that into why we can't trust you. Because look at the policing. I said look at all these I pointed out, there was a couple of board meetings before, a couple of weeks ago, in the Hempstead Village meeting, Waylon Hobbs and the board gave out awards to police. It was like 6 or 7 police for outstanding conduct, whatever, I forgot what it was for. They took some guns off the street, I believe, or they stopped some, I forgot what it was, or something. But it was certificates for them, and all the board members handed out certificates to them. And my point about this alienating police, and especially all these Caucasian police, these Caucasian white police in a Black Latina village, is alienating because they don't relate to us. And I said, Waylon Hobbs, none of you board members even knew who these police were. You handing out certificates, you got to look at the name. He yelled out and announced the name. You had to look up to see who responded. Then he identified that as the police officer. Here you go. And everybody claps and awards on this failed police system, this over-policing. And I pointed that out. And then he doubled down on that act, saying, well, I had to look down at the name to see them. I said, well, it was about 7 or 8 police in Denton Green Park over this meeting. Most of them Caucasian, outsiders that don't relate to us, man. And I said, what are their names? Name their names. He got quiet. That is alienating policing. We cannot do that in their community. This over-policing, they have this militarized policing, it is arrogance. There's a failed system towards us. That crime, and I'm going to segue with that into my first point. Yeah, I'm a little late, so I have to just go. I was going to wait for folks to come in. But if you have any questions or comments, please put them in. I'll gladly answer them. It's good to hear from your family, too. So, at that, the alienating policing, that's why we got so much crime in Hempstead. You have more policing and more crime. That is because it is a well-engineered plan. This comes from devitalization. Devitalization is when you take your village resources, the fund, your budget, and you lack the budget because homeowners are paying others' property taxes. So the money is being economically sucked out of the village by outsiders, wealthy apartment owners. Over $20 million a year. They're raping this village. wealthy outside apartment owners who don't deserve these tax breaks, Hempstead Village homeowners are paying their property taxes. That is devitalization. You can't invest in your home. You can't improve your home. You're paying somebody else's taxes. This has been going on for 15 years, and it's by design. And what does it do? This creates poverty. You don't have resources. You don't have investments. You lose your homes. You lose your businesses. And the crime that results is derivative crime. That crime is derivative from that. Lack of resources being taken away from cultivating us like they do other communities. You can't come over here to East Meadow. I'm in Eisenhower Park. This is East Meadow, Uniondale border. East Meadow, Garden City, Rockville Center. They allocate their funds towards cultivation of their residents, and they respect their residents. And they would not get away with this. I think Dan Dagan had to bring that up to me in an IDA board meeting. He looked over to me, it was sad. He said, Garden City got a tax break for some of them. I was like, man, I almost got beside myself. That was the developer's lawyer, Dan Deegan. He used to be the lawyer at Avalon. And he said, they have I said, how can you compare affluent Garden City that look out for their residents, the incorporated village of Garden City, to Hempstead, that's being overburdened by over 30 tax breaks for, what is that? If you give a tax break towards an apartment, that's not a wise investment. That doesn't make any business sense. That is not a wise business decision. That doesn't stimulate the economy. That's not job growth. And Garden City is flourishing. They can absorb a tax break for something that's going to give them jobs. But you got all these apartments, because this is being done because it's a waste of our resources, subsidizing wealthy apartment owners when they should get business loans like everybody else. So this devitalization and not focusing resources on cultivate. What is cultivation? Job training. In Black America, we need cultivation in ourselves, the knowledge of ourselves. Civics that teach us who we are, our purpose, our history, our grand history, the origin that we come from. It's grand, it's great, it's mighty. We are mighty people, but you let our enemy miseducate us, miscultivate us. They're doing that. And the board sits up like they're doing us favors. That's because they're broken. They're weak. Their minds are colonized. That's why Hempstead resembles a colony, an overtaxed 18th century, 17th century colony. Our economy, outsiders take all the resources out. So, and once you take all the resources out, and then they put drugs and ignorance, you mix drugs with ignorance, you get street crime. You get derivative crimes. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. pointed this out. He said most of the crime that you see black people committing is derivative crime. So I pointed that out. We need to focus on restoring our tax base and taking our resources and putting it towards intra-development. We have a beautiful community, a beautiful suburb, a prosperous one, where we invest in light industry, home ownership. They're taking all the homes. That's my message today. Stop hitting the snooze button on our wake-up calls. Look at how they look at how black pain is presented. We have derivative crimes. We have we turn on each other. Let me put it like this in a nutshell. Whenever we as black men, we are oppressed by Caucasian men. Our manhood is taken from us. We are emasculated. We're made less men, second-class citizens, and colonized. And we do not fight them. They're not warriors, and they're fighting them, taking it to them. This oppression you get to us, any inequity, any inequality, the injustices, we put it back to you. We counter it. We take it to you. That's what we're supposed to be doing by the millions. But since you don't do that, what's that, as Franz Fanon said? That's a man that's broken, buck broken, and broken in front of another man, and he don't fight that man. What does he do? When he turns around, he takes it out on those weaker than him. That's called kicking the cat. You ever heard that expression? When you at the job, the boss is digging into you, he don't like you, all those microaggressions at your jobs. You feel a hell of a way. So you get on the bus and you abrupt with the bus driver. So you abrupt with the bus driver, and so since you that abrupt, you take it out on the bus driver. You abrupt with him. Then you get out you stop off before you get home from the bus. You go to the store, and as you at the store, you sit up there, and then you start messing over things. You start taking out what your boss did to you on the store people, the cashier. And then when you get home, you know, normally your cat is walking in front of the door as you get home to check out, see who come in the door, and you see a little kitty litter spread out on the thing, and you kick that cat in the behind. Normally you wouldn't do that, but you kick the cat because you redistributed your pain on those closest to you, those weakest. That's what we are doing as black men. That is black pain. That's undistributed black pain that have been construed as black on black violence. You know, they frame us as black violent. It's wicked as hell. We Caucasians for the last 500 years have what? Been the most 6,000 years have been the most violent people on the planet, but 500, it's been intense. They've been murdering by the millions. You came over here murdering by the millions and millions. And you did it with glee and for lust, and you loved it. And it fits your nature just to kill and murder for nothing. Everything in nature murders for a purpose, kills for a purpose, because it's hungry, it's territory. It's an aim or motive. You have no motive. You kill nature for glee. You're giddy about it, and you cackle and have a good time. People with a nature like that should not be policing us. It's an over-policing, a militarized police. We must cover down on ourselves. And it's so bad, we shouldn't even call it policing. You know, we got to call it covering down, looking out for each other. We got to change the engagement. We got to have a new approach to this, because it has failed us. Go look at the young brother that was Austin Simone, the young brother murdered by the bodega clerk in Harlem. Remember that? The brother's wife was having an issue with her card, and this trifling clerk, it's over like a bag of chips. You ever heard that expression, all that in a bag of chips? That brought that to mind to me when I heard that. This trifling bodega clerk, just give her the damn chips, man. See how trifling you are? And these nasty bodegas. Some of these bodegas in our community have bulletproof glass on them. Go in Harlem. I remember Kennedy Chicken. Excuse me. Kennedy Chicken in Harlem. Got bulletproof glass. These Chinese restaurants, these Asian restaurants, all these other restaurants in Harlem in black neighborhoods. Got all this damn bulletproof things. Just because the black communities resemble colonies. We live in a colonized condition, but we don't call it that. We just have been so abused for so long, we have accepted it as a way of life. And we think that that's the way it is. The way our dumbasses call the police. We will call the police on each other as armed social workers to resolve our conflicts that he behind the scenes is engineering. Conflict in the black community is a well-engineered, a huge cog mechanism, and it is well oiled by our misrepresentatives and our Negro sellout preachers. Been going on for centuries. Well, a century since we've been out, ever since they ran us out of them all black towns. That clerk, I think it was Elder, the brother Austin Simone, went behind the store, the counter, went behind the counter and engaged that clerk, for his, and he was pushing him around. And he was assaulting him and pushing him around, throwing him around. So he grabbed the knife. Now that, you fight somebody like that, man. Who ever heard of that? So he claimed self-defense, and he did. This brother pushed him around. That was assault. But most assaults, most of that stuff is fighting. So he takes a knife that he had behind there, and that knife put the brother back. You could see the brother stepping back with his arms. Now he's trying to push back. He's already angry at this dude for insulting his woman over something trifling like that, because the clerk is trifling. You a trifling ass. All of you store owners in black neighborhoods with this arrogance about you. Like somebody owes you something, like you doing us a favor. You don't serve this community. Because you know that black people got that disease, that colonized disease. I've seen black people go in a 99-cent store, get accused of stealing, not have anything on her. This is right in Hempstead. Not have anything on her, and some immigrant store clerk, a no good ass, alienating outsider, ain't got no respect for us, have contempt for us. Falsely accused her of stealing the young girl, got falsely accused, and then proven that she didn't have nothing in that dumb 99-cent store. And then afterwards, after that conflict, our young sister goes to pick up something to go buy. Why would you pick up something to buy? Something out of a store that just humiliated you like that. And that's our mindset. So we got to overcome that mindset. So they feel like they ain't doing us no favors, but we treat it like that. We have accepted it as a way of life that we got to change, family. So he stabbed our brother to death. This bodega clerk stabbed Austin Simone to death. And it was celebrated as self-defense. Oh, he was assaulted, so I used the knife. It was self-defense. Oh, everybody applauds it. A young Asian clerk in a smoke shop, I forgot which part of the country it was in. He was being strong-arm robbed. They were jumped by two they were masked men, young men, but I believe they were Caucasian, but I could hear the voices. You can hear their voices because the Asian, obviously the store owner, took a weapon knife that he had in his hand and he folded up and they started grabbing things from his smoke shop, and he got one of them jumped behind the counter and swung at him, so he commenced to stabbing him to death. And he stabbed him so many times that you could tell the victim was Caucasian, because he started saying, "Oh God, oh no, I'm dead, I'm dead." He said this recently happened. This Asian smoke shop owner is applauded, celebrated for self-defense with a weapon. But how did they frame black men in the community? When you have beefs, which our solution is to form conflict resolution centers. I propose to us, I'm working on opening a cultivation resource center. I may have to do it in Hempstead, in Uniondale, because Hempstead Uniondale is next on the slate. It'll be gentrified, it's gonna be a hub, because y'all don't have our people, man. Mark Twain said it's easier to fool people than convince them that they have been fooled. We have to do a restoration resource cultivation center, mainly in Uniondale, that deal with conflict resolution, to resolve our issues from this derivative pain that creates derivative crime that is engineered behind the scenes, and we have to redistribute it. We don't get that. So what is black on black conflict framed as? Black on black violence. A black man could be walking down the street and getting ready to be robbed by another black man, or have a beef with another black man from a few blocks away or in the same neighborhood. A black man will defend himself with a knife or a gun. And after the shooting, after the conflict, both of them are condemned. Both of them are condemned. Black on black crime. Everybody goes crying. But y'all don't have no goddamn voice for these others that are practicing self-defense. But when a black man practices self-defense against another black man, both of them are outrightly, flatly condemned so much that politicians and everybody get together. Oh, we got to clamp down on them. And what did it do? More policing. This is the cycle. This is how it happens. You're in a community. It's like a occupied army. It's like it's a militarized zone. The police are militarized on us, and they use Caucasians in our community because they're alienated. They don't relate to us. Caucasian people are proven to be numb to our suffering and numb to inflicting pain on us. This is why they can inflict so much pain and feel nothing about it. They shoot us and gun us down, and they wonder what's wrong. How come people don't understand that? They're cowards. They won't fight us one-on-one. You don't see no fair ones. Most of the time we win those. You don't see them. But they treat us with a heavy hand. Then when they get too heavy, we go crying. Because sometimes our dumb asses will call the police. We are our own worst enemy because we're in ignorance. That's what ignorance is. So they misframe us. Because we don't have a black agenda addressing these issues. This stuff is just in the news, and these corporate-owned news channels just get away with misrepresenting it. I just showed you the case. They show a shooting, everybody goes crying, everybody. And then when a bystander gets hurt with a gunshot bullet, everybody politicians come out of nowhere, police chiefs, they come to hunt a black man down. This happens in our communities because they're not communities, they're colonies. Hempstead is a colony. It's one of the biggest colonies in New York. Sorry about that, y'all. I'm gonna tighten this up. That's the way we are mistreated and misrepresented. Now, this has been going on for the longest. And and we aren't prone to violence, we aren't prone to crime. Don't you know when we had our all black towns at the turn of the century, we had the all black towns all around America. 60 were major. We had hundreds of them. We weren't committing crimes in them towns. We were trading amongst ourselves. We had weapons from World War I. Some of us that fought in World War I, and some of us were lynched in them World War I uniforms. Isn't that right, y'all? America. We ain't prone to violence, but they use it as an excuse. They misconstrue us. The white man portrays us as a threat because it's subconscious. And this is not being dealt with at all. Very few voices are bringing this up. We're a fringe group that discuss the subconscious mind of the subconscious, seem like a soulless mind of the Caucasians, of how he feels threatened by black men. And this triggers him, because you don't see black police officers killing white men or even killing black men at the rate that you find Caucasian police. If they didn't have them guns, and you call them because they have guns, because they're enforcement, because you're fighting another nigga that you're angry with, that you're in conflict with, because you can't see your enemy. Engineering everything right behind the scenes. It's hidden hands behind the scenes. So this is happening to us. And that's going to segue me into my second point. And that second point is the wake-up calls. Because we refuse to fight, to form a militia, to defend ourselves, to form our own courts. Allah fights for us. Somewhat. Now. But He is taking the fight. And then those of us who submit our will to Him and follow Him, we got to train our people into a militia to defend our people. Let me turn this around a little. I don't know how they got twisted around. Allah is lashing this country because you commit this injustice and you hide it. You put it over on the naive and the ignorant, and you make ignorance. It's a whole industry of black ignorance, Caucasian that you compose and you engineer behind the scenes. So Allah takes it to you. And what is He doing? Y'all don't see the signs? My God, he been burning the West Coast for years. On them West Coast hilltops, on the hilltops of San Diego and California, that whole area that was so exclusive, so wealthy that you can't move in there. He's burning them. You've raised our all blacks towns. You raised our all black towns, murdering us, raping us, lynching us, killing us, taking everything for us. Over 100 years ago, you did this for decades. Running us out of everything. You've taken millions of acres of land for us. On record, I believe it's something like 12 million you've stolen from us, black Americans. Native black Americans, within the last 100 years, we've had, on the record, 12 million acres of land stolen from us, Caucasians. While the Homestead Act gave 160 million to Caucasians to work. And you took ours. You take everything from us. And that's all you do is take from us. You rob, steal, lie, and deceive us. And we still do not frame you as that. Every generation after that get amnesia, cultural amnesia. We're the only group in America with historical and cultural amnesia. So Allah takes your homes. He burns them. Because you're wicked as hell. And you act valiant. You act noble. You act like you're a democracy. You're not a democracy, you're an oligarchy. And hypocrisy. Your democracy is hypocrisy. Allah burns your ass out. We don't burn you. We don't take you down. Allah does. By the thousands on the West Coast alone. You never saw that coming. You were living a good life, exclusive on the hilltops. He flooding you in Kentucky. And I'm gonna be short today. It's like, I'm gonna stop about like actually 15 minutes. I was gonna be brief because I just had to give this wake-up call. I'm giving a wake-up call. Black America, prepare to do something for ourselves, to provide for ourselves. Sin City, Las Vegas, look at that. They never thought they would see. They were partying hard in Las Vegas. They're partying hard. He flooded you out. They in the casinos, dumbasses. Waterfalls coming through the casino. Your dumbass still in there trying to gamble. You maybe get electrocuted to death doing that, man. You don't have no sense. Woo! Allah is God, man. Kentucky, flooding you out. You know how bad they mistreated us in Kentucky? Well, the whole country. But it was intense in Mississippi, Alabama, and Kentucky. Especially Mississippi and Alabama. Georgia, the Carolinas, very intense in Mississippi and Alabama. Still is. All of you. You a level of degrees. Matter of fact, we call good white people the ones who just don't do injustices to us. Now, I'm getting the sun glare here from that. That's all right. Let the light shine. I reflect the light. Giving a lot of knowledge here. The whole west part of the country, ranches, drought. You took our cattle from us. You took our farms from us. You took our industry that you were robbing us anyway. Sharecropping, that was theft, deceit. The West Coast, you ranchers. They had a line of ranchers selling their cattle 3 miles long. It's like 3 weeks ago, and more of you. It's not enough hay for you. And even in your losses in the chastisement, the more wicked you continue. What else was I going to talk about? Yellowstone National Park. Yellowstone National Park. Flooded. Couldn't get out of there. Yellowstone National Park, who would have known where the geysers is at? All that so-called wildlife. Stolen land. Allah runs you out of there. He cuts you off. That's what he does. He cuts you off where you least expect it. He's going to burn you. And last but not least, where did he just send flooding? In Death Valley. Damn, Death Valley. That's one of the hottest places on earth. Death Valley. And he flooding it. thousands of you stuck in there. We caught you up in there, took your cars, just locked you in. And it's going to keep on happening. More calamities because you do injustice by nature, like it's a way of life against Black Americans and Native people here. Native and Black people. Go look at the movie Prey. It just came out. How it shows the Comanche. Now they gentrified it. They got Comanche. India's my complexion. That's the black, brown, and so-called red man. Native people. Or black, brown, and red. Original Native people. Mainly in the plains, but a lot of red, brown. People are dark as people in some parts of Africa. Some of them were from India. A lot from Polynesia. Some of us came from the east. 16,000 years ago we're here. The black man was here. And we back. This is ours. You don't do right by us and you continue evil and evil. And look at who's buying up all the farmland. Bill Gates, a eugenist, is buying up the farmland across America because he wants to control the food. This food already got us obese. Don't you know most of these ailments we got come from this GMO and this malnourished food, processed food, soybeans, all of this obesity. Obesity didn't begin until the 70s. What happened in the 70s? Big corporations took over farmland. This is incorrect. We should have micro farming, personal farming locally, then small farms. And you don't need no huge corporate robotic farms like that, growing one crop in some huge area. That has never benefited the land or the people. Wildlife don't operate like that. It's not natural. We got to get out of this. Bill Gates. Now who is taking all the housing? Look at the inflation. All this is due to our rise. Black America, we're waking up, we're rising. So they're raising the cost for us to do business in America, for us to move around America. They kept us nomadic, which was bad. But we got to get back to settling down. Because we cannot trust them to continuously miseducating us, miscultivating us, abusing us, over-policing, feeding us, and planning for us. They will always aim us low, intentionally. You may hear some background noise. That's some woman speaking from the amphitheater. That's just a voice. I'm lucky to have this nice mic here. It's nice and tight. It gets my chest and what's up. You'll faintly hear what's going on in the background. That's good, but I can hear it. You hear everything. I'm fasting. I gotta drink a little more water. We must take charge of our resources, of our civics, of our education. Wall Street is just gobbling up more housing. They don't want us owning anything. They took 12 million acres from us the last 100 years, stole it. That's phenomenal. You know how much money they owe us for that? And they owe us double. And I believe it was the total, what I heard, was 18 million they took from us. Because it was from around the country. That was just in the South, the 12 million. The last century, our land, that's all they do is steal and take from us, misrepresent us in media. We've been so conditioned by this violence, by this misrepresentation. And even that's optic violence, being portrayed as wild and savage and uncouth and ignorant and a born criminal and a thief and a beast and a sex fiend, over-sexualized. Well, who over-sexualizes us? We've been misrepresented in Hollywood since the beginning. Birth of a Nation. That racist Ku Klux Klan recruiting film was screened in the White House by no good Woodrow Wilson. And I didn't say President Woodrow Wilson, I said no good Woodrow Wilson. He was a no good man. He hated black people. And you don't present him like that to our children. They ain't being educated in that. They're being further miseducated. In CRT, what they call that? Whatever it is, that CRT, cultivation. Not cultivation, I mean, it's miscultivation. Critical race theory. It's not going to teach a Woodrow Wilson, the burning of our all-black towns, the taking of 12 million acres. They're not going to represent that. We have to represent it. We can do it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to leave with this. We got to form, and what is the solution? That we have to be based and rooted in a strict nationalism. We got to form a militia to protect and defend our community, regulate our community. Regulating ourselves is unarmed, but I'm talking about defending against others. You deal with them with a heavy hand to get their oppression off of us. We got to form our own courts. We will never get justice from the courts. All you do is one. We've been under so much oppression and abuse and violence. It's like, you know, the person, what you call it, machoism, sadism. Sadism, when a person like being a sadist. They like inflicting pain, and I think a macho is like pain inflicted on them. Either way it is, I forgot the definition. Both of them the same thing. We socially practice. But that's our relationship with this country. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said we're like an abused woman. We've been beat around and smacked upside the head to go do something for so long. It's the way of life. That we will not do anything unless we've been brutalized. And that's why this over-policing is in the community. We need an independent state. In America, the South, Africa, and also, the Caribbean, and 4 independent states, and one in South America, the northern tip of South America, like Belize, that area. For all of our people and black Americans, native black Americans, we get dual citizenship in those states. We not only be a citizen of one of those states, not all 4 states, you pick one that you love, that you want reparations with, for land, restitution, and repatriation. But we get dual citizenship, along with $500,000 each. Reparations. Every native black American that built this country and got nothing but the worst treatment, deceit, and the worst mistreatment of any people in the annals of history suffered. We survived, and we're coming out under that. And we're still suffering under it. Most people say we're thriving. We're colonized. We are powerless. We have a weak power force. Our power is weak. Collecting Federal Reserve notes at some job, at some corporation, and even an independent business. It's not land ownership. It's not ownership. It's a weak power force. It's virtual power. Because your money can't buy you an army to defend your business. We need protection, unity, and a militia to defend our businesses and all our interests. And that's what I wanted to leave with. That 500K, and I'll take mines in precious metals. You can give me 400 ounces, a 400-ounce gold bar. That's like a 20-pound trade bar, and 100 ounces of platinum. I'll take mines in precious metals. Those that want the cash, you get the cash. You do what you please. But first of all, that's wise for us anyway, black Americans. Because 500K, our people who don't want to repatriate or get into an independent nation for that dual citizenship, but want to stay and waste their money as laborers and consumers, we need to separate from them. It's us who, with the conscious mind, the conscience, the militants, the nationalists, the self-love people, the cultivated people, knowledge of self that love ourselves, we need to separate from the ignorance of our people who don't submit, who refuse to come on and get cultivation, as many of them do. They're slaves. They're conditioned. They're broken. Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we get all our people, we'll be their new rulers and change that. But given their own will, their own determination, they're 85%. They're going to submit to whoever's in power. 85%ers submit to whoever is in power. And people in power is a perception. These are people who assume the positions of power. Did you know that? People empowered over you are simply the people you assume in positions of power. That's the way it is. We got to have a solution to our issue. It's not going to get any better, only going to get worse. And Allah is laying it down. And this is a wake-up call. It's a warning. Native Black Americans, we got to separate. We got to get independent. We got to quarantine from these Caucasian Americans and these others. That's why it's bringing in all these immigrants. That's to replace us. Replacement theory. It's us. We the woke ones. We the ones emerging. We're re-emerging because we emerged with them all-black towns. We were uber successful. We were super successful. We were the envy of them Caucasians. And them same planners that's planning the economics now, the same oligarchs and plutocrats, long money. They're right there, behind Westbury High School. I call that Oligarch Alley, all the way up to the Vanderbilt Mansion on the North Shore, even up to towards Oyster Bay. That whole North Shore, the Rolling Hills, not the Rolling Hills, that's not the Rolling Hills, it's the, what's the name of the hills? It's the Northern Hills. It's called the North Hills. It's huge mansions up there, man. Going up there, and that's the oligarch old money, just like the Upper East Side on Park Avenue. In the 80s and 90s, them penthouses on Park Avenue from 60th Street all the way up to 90th Street. I've been in one of those penthouses. They are cursed. You couldn't pay me to live in there. Matter of fact, I looked down the hallway of that thing took up nearly, well, that apartment complex took up about half of a city block on the Upper East Side, Park Avenue, the low 90s, I think it was the upper 80s, low 90s. Those are long streets in Manhattan. And them apartments go up like what, 20 stories, some of them even more. I'm talking about the old money ones. The new ones is for the new money. The tall, super tall ones, 50 stories. No, I'm talking about the 20-story ones with the penthouses. That's like a quarter city block. I've looked down the hallway of one. It had paintings. I wouldn't walk down there. There was something eerie about it. One of them paintings on the wall. It was a whole hallway about the length of a quarter city block on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, Park Avenue. Walk down there. Walk down Park Avenue from 89th Street to 87th Street and walk that distance and cut that in half and take a quarter of that and look at someone's hallway lined up with expensive paintings. Some of them paintings worth, well, back in the 90s when I went there, some of them paintings is worth a house, your house. One painting on the wall, that hallway, is worth the value of your house. That's old money. That's who's planning all this around us, man. And we can break it with nationalism, love of self. You gotta get the knowledge of self. Now this sun is beaming behind me. Let me slide on over here. I'm closing out anyway. That's all I had to say. Because that was my message. We must do something for self. And we will build a paradise. It's already proven what we will do under the circumstances. We build all black towns. We weren't committing crimes in them all black towns. Flagrant crimes that was remarkable that you could note. Because we were so prosperous interacting with each other. We had we're farmers, we were industrious. We were so industrious, we built a lot of that stuff. We were the builders. We built the country. And we used that for our benefit. We had weapons. We didn't use them on each other. You didn't hear no black on black crime. We had no police in them all black towns. There were no police present there. We were doing our little thing. And what did they do? They had the same MO on hundreds of those all black towns. These no good Caucasians said that a black man raped a white woman. And that was a pretext for them to raise those all black towns. That happened in every black town. Go watch the movie Rosewood that our beautiful brother John Singleton, may Allah be pleased with him, made. with V. Rames, I believe that's my brother's name, V. Rames, star as a brother. I forgot his name, and Don Shaleo. And our sister that played Esther Roll, that played in Good Times. She played Don Chanel's, I'm not pronouncing his name right, I'm sorry, brother. Don Shaleo, you know what I'm speaking about. He played Iron Man, the black Iron Man. And his mother is Esther Rose. That was all black town. They used the pretext of a black man raping a white woman. What angers white men the most? Fear of genetic annihilation that is facilitated through what? Interracial marriage, a black man with a white woman. And you don't realize how much of a danger, subconscious threat you are to him. Subconsciously, you're a death threat to him because he can't reproduce after that. It's the end of whiteness. The product of that is not a person my complexion, so-called mixed race, biracial. We don't become beige, darker skinned white people. We become light skinned black people. It's mainly political, but it's genetically accurate, yes. Because white in everything comes from black. And I think I'll leave us with that, family. Message, wake up call. We must do something for ourselves, form our own militias, form our own courts, form our own industries, our own educational systems. Something's got to give. And we can do it. We did it before, we're going to do it again. Come on, brothers and sisters, let's get this done. All right, that's it. Oh, let me see if any questions. I didn't see any. I just saw folks watching. That's good. It was good talking to your family. I hope your Sunday was well. It just got beautiful and windy out here just as I'm leaving. A beautiful, cool breeze came by just as I'm leaving. But that's good. I'll go out and enjoy the rest of the evening. Other than that, family, I hope that you are well. I hope that your Sunday was graced and that we keep a good spirit, a good mind, a good heart. Nationalism. Love Allah. Love what he's doing us through. Remember, he's fighting for us. Oh, and pray for my mother. My mother's at the Avalon, around the corner. She's at apartment 514, and a devil is tormenting her. It's a few of them. It's actually a team of them in that complex. In building 5, the apartment up from her, apartment 518, is making her presence there, making her living there horrible, unbearable, tormenting her day and night, pounding on the floor. It's the owners of Avalon trying to displace her from there. They discontinued her lease. They will not renew it. April Fool's Day. Doesn't that fit a devil to announce that? April Fool's Day, that's your day, devil. Halloween. They announced her, we're not renewing your lease. You got to move out by July 31st. It's August now. They're planning on her now. And some of you who have reached out to help her, we appreciate you. Some of you from all walks of life, some of the brothers, you wanted to get busy. No, we can't get busy now because this is a trap. This is some sort of purported, alleged agency doing this. But it's coming to a stop very soon because we're going to put light on it. And Allah is fighting for us. Apartment 518, you're tormenting my mother. You've been doing it for years, and you've intensified it the last few years by the owners of Avalon displacing our people. They've been doing it for decades in black neighborhoods. They've been doing it in Hempstead, displacing us, pulling our security in the building, let the homeless in, let our own people who are uncultivated, use homeless, addicted to drugs, selling drugs, or if they live there, playing loud music and being uncouth, fighting with each other. This is being done on purpose. It's called displacement. But they move you out of the building so that a developer could buy for cheap. Being that they're displacing us in Hempstead to make it a city, a white, yuppie college city. And we will not be present anymore because it's going to be luxury. They're building all luxury apartments with one so-called affordable housing, which is a joke. We will not be welcome there any more than we are in Garden City, in downtown Rockville Center. So we got to do something for ourselves. Pray for my mother. Please assist her. I may be having to do a GoFundMe soon to raise her money to get her someplace in case they evict her. And it's a good brother. I'm not going to name the names yet, but it's coming soon. I'm going to actually start naming names. And even the occupants of that apartment. Y'all, please provide me a good lawyer that could counsel me on how to handle this, because the legal aid lawyer is not helping her. The legal aid lawyer that's representing her from Nassau Suffolk Legal Services and the representative of the Nassau County District Attorney, both of them told me, I don't believe that Avalon Management is doing this, is committing this. It's absurd. We have video evidence of this pounding day and night that makes it unbearable for her to live there. I may have to soundproof further the ceilings and stuff to help her. She's 80, feeble health, legally blind. It's hard for her to get around and do things. And you got this devil, a black devil above her. Now it's a black one now. It's been different people in that apartment. And proof that the owners are purportedly and allegedly enabling an agency to do this type of displacement nuisance from that apartment is in between those multiple tenants there. There was always people up there bothering her. All days, all times, a day and night, when no one's supposed to be in the apartment. It's unoccupied. In between those tenants, people have access to that apartment, causing a nuisance. It's to drive her out. Avalon just opened up that waiting list again, a Section 8 waiting list. That is unheard of. You know why? Because they're throwing people out at apartments. They raised the rents to a 2-bedroom apartment of my mother's size, that 1,000 square feet, I think it is, to $4,600 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. That's how much they're asking for a 2-bedroom apartment at the Avalon. And that's another reason. One of the reasons is for the displacement is politically motivated. It's against me. The political motivation is they can't break me, so they go after those that I care for, those around me. They go to break them. We can't let them get away with this. Let's make this an example where they don't get away. I've helped all of you who have called on me. I physically come to help you. Physically, I come to challenge. Your family's being oppressed, being tormented. I physically went. Go defend you. Physically, to deal with anyone who will come against you. Now you got to show your support to my mother. She deserves more than this. She does not deserve to be 80, legally blind, feeble health, and tormented like this by a black devil that got pit bulls wrestling around on the floor all day and night, banging and pounding and barking, and they're stomping and banging and pounding on the floor like they have no sense. They're allegedly being paid to do it, or they are allegedly part of an agency. You gotta understand, a lot of our people being put up to do this mayhem, some of y'all took out these PPP loans and you did fraud, you committed fraud, and it came to you, like Judas and the Black Messiah. Remember Bill O'Neill, William O'Neill with the Black Panthers, and Judas and the Black Messiah? They caught him in a crime and said, if you don't want to do time, help us do this secret work, help us do this police work, this undermining people, underhanded stuff. But they murdered people, innocent people. The deep state to do it. They're still doing it. They're still active. COINTELPRO is still active. They focus on all of us who are pivotal in the community and influential in the community. They will undermine you and they'll find a way. So pray for my moms. Please support her. You know, I got to get her a 2-bedroom apartment. And I'm looking around for that. Please, if you know waiting lists, get them, have suggestions to decent housing. It's all a fix. I've seen it with my own eyes. I'm experiencing it now. Housing is, don't you know, Section 8 housing? Port Washington North Hempstead housing. Section 8 used to be like $3,050 a month stipend they would give for housing, 2 bedrooms. They shut that down. They incorporated it with Hempstead, 40 Main Street, which is useless to us. It's sad how they got to push them to get them to do things, just like everything else. Now, 40 Main Street does all in Nassau County. And the limit they put on rent now, well, I guess you say the stipend they have towards paying Section 8 voucher rents for 2-bedroom is $2,478 a month. And landlords, whom they're just now evicting all these people, it's no accident this is happening to my mother, because they just now opened up landlord-tenant court. Eviction, they opened up for evictions back in January. All them backlogs is coming through, and all this housing is being available because they're evicting people. Most of them weren't paying their rent during the pandemic, but BlackRock, Wall Street, Blackstone are buying up all the houses, and they've been jacking up the rents. So if you did sell your house, and if you sell your house for more they're asking for now you're stuck because you can't find a place to rent. And landlords have set their rents on decent housing slightly above that voucher rate. $2,478 is the limit they will pay for a 2-bedroom apartment. Landlords of decent housing. I didn't say luxury housing, I said decent. It ain't even luxury housing. This is decent. They put those rents slightly above. That's to keep you, that's redlining, that's segregation. That is literally, it's still blockbusting. It's still the same planning. It's still redlining. So it affects us all, and I'm witnessing it firsthand. They're devitalizing us. They're gentrifying us, and they're keeping us nomadic so we don't settle down to empower ourselves. Reparations. Let's take a stand for that family, to build back our families and cultural institutions. Okay, family, may Allah continue to bless us and grace us, and I'll leave you as I greeted you in the ancient Arabic words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.